So when it comes to soap making, there are lots of different additions that you can add to your soap recipe, and they all bring slightly different qualities to your finished soap. And one of the more popular additions is adding milk and making a milk soap. And possibly the most popular milk for adding into soap is goat's milk. We do a couple of goat's milk soaps and they generally sell pretty well. But I thought today we would try something a little bit more exotic, a little bit more experimental, and we will have a go today at making a soap with camel milk. Welcome to our channel. My name is Anne, and along with my good friend Wayne, we run this YouTube channel, and we also run the Sussex Handmade Soap Company, which is a small bath and body business based in the southeast of the UK. So, camel milk. Why camel milk? I have done a fair bit of research because I have seen camel milk being used in soaps in the past. I've seen it online. I haven't seen it at any of the shows that we actually go to, but I know that it is a thing, and I like trying things that are a little bit different. So I did some research actually on camel milk itself. And the information that I could find online on using camel milk in skincare said that it's often used in skincare because it is high in omega acids. It has got a high amount of vitamin C, and obviously vitamin C is becoming very much a skincare ingredient for helping brighten and anti-aging and all of that. So vitamin C is a very popular ingredient in skincare as it is. It also contains lactic acid, which can encourage skin cell turnover, so keep your skin looking nice and fresh and bright. It has got a pH that is similar to the skin's natural pH. In soap making, obviously, that's not going to make a huge difference because it is going to be the alkali, the lye, that actually really determines the level of our pH in our bar of soap. But camel milk has got a pH similar to that of human skin. And camel milk is also the closest farmed milk to human milk. So that is what I found out. Obviously, a lot of it probably won't necessarily be too relevant in soap making because will the qualities survive the saponification process? Possibly not. But milk soaps in general, I find, do give a nice creamy bar. They feel a little bit more moisturising. Now, obviously, we cannot say that soap is moisturising because it is cleansing. We can't make any other claims. But I think you guys probably know what I mean when I say it just feels a little bit moisturising. It leaves your skin feeling soft. It leaves your skin feeling loved. And I think that milk soaps really do a good job of that. I personally really love a milk soap. They are my favourite soaps to actually use. Now, there is no denying that camel milk is very expensive to buy, and it's expensive for a couple of reasons. One of those reasons is it is less intensively farmed than other milks like cow's milks or goat's milk. And it is also down to the fact that the camels have a long gestation period. I believe it's around 13 months. And so there is not so much camel milk quickly available. That does all lead to pushing up the price. And the camel milk that I used today, and I am using powdered camel milk. It has got no additives. It has not had anything added into it. It has just been powdered. I'm using that, and 75 grams of camel milk actually cost me £9.99, and that 75 grams of powdered camel milk makes up 360 millilitres of rehydrated camel milk, so it is more than £10 a litre, so very, very expensive. The fresh camel milk that I did find was even more expensive, although they did want me to buy a minimum of 6 pints or 6 litres, and it was about £80, so very, very expensive. So do factor that in if you are thinking of using camel milk, especially if you are likely to want to sell your products with camel milk in, because it will push up the price. Now, is camel milk a bit of a fad? It seems to be trending a little bit lately. It seems to be becoming more popular. I don't know if it's a fad or not. Possibly. It is certainly a trendy, I think it's going to get a little bit more trendy over the coming years as well. A trendy ingredient, but if it does the job and it leaves our skin feeling really nice, then I wouldn't say it would be a fad. It would just be a nice ingredient that is becoming a bit more prominent. So let's get on and make some camel milk soap. So I'm going to begin today by first melting down my solid oils. This is our regular recipe: coconut oil, cocoa butter and shea butter. I'm going to put the full recipe in the video description along with the weights that I have used, so do check there if you want to follow this recipe today. I just thought I would show you our solid oils, but now I'm going to take them away and start them melting on a very low heat on our hob. So now we can move on to our camel milk and our lye, our sodium hydroxide. I've got my gloves, goggles, long sleeves and closed-toed shoes on for working with my lye, and this here is what our camel milk looks like after I've added in the water. So like I say, 360 millilitres in total. Kind of looks just like regular milk, perhaps a little bit creamier. I don't know, I don't drink milk, I'm not a fan of it. So we have got our lye just here. And the camel milk has been in the freezer, but I didn't leave it in long enough for it to actually freeze. It would have been nice if it could have frozen a little bit, but it is very, very cold. But it might have been nice to actually been working with it frozen. Too impatient to wait. And with any milk soap, you want to add the lye into the milk very slowly so that it doesn't scorch. The sugars in the milk then won't burn. If it scorches, it's going to smell awful, kind of like ammonia, and it's also going to go brown. And we want to try and keep our soap a creamy white colour today. So I'm going to add the lye slowly, sort of a couple of teaspoons at a time. And this is clearly going to take quite a long time. So I'll just show you with the first couple of teaspoons. I'm going to add the lye, stir it in, and I have got my thermometer on hand, and I don't want this to really go above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. At the moment we're up to 71.8 and rising fast, 72.7. We'll get away with adding in a couple more teaspoons though. So just adding in small amounts at a time and then stirring fully to dissolve the lye and waiting just to check the temperature doesn't get too high. And patience really is the key here. If you try and rush it, chances are you will scorch your lye, you will get that horrible ammonia smell, and your soap will have a browny tint to it. I don't mind if my lye and milk mix goes a little bit yellow. I tend to find that then when it turns back to soap, it does stay pretty white, but we don't want to see brown. Where are we now? See, we are up to 89.4 Fahrenheit, just with those first couple of teaspoons. I'm going to add in one more just to show you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lye over to my sink. I'm going to sit the jug in a bowl of ice cold water. Might even throw in a couple of ice packs just to keep that temperature down. And I'm going to work through slowly adding in the rest of the lye, keeping it below 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Then when all the lye has been combined, we are going to lower the temperature down to around about 80-ish today. Again, it's nice to work at a lower temperature with milk soaps, so we will aim for temperatures of around about 80. 96.6. So yeah, I'll cool this for a little bit before adding in more lye, and then we'll be back when we've managed to get all of this into here. Hopefully it won't be brown. So our lye is still cooling down at the moment. It is well out of the way over there, so I have briefly taken off my gloves and goggles. Our solid oils are now fully melted down in the pan, as you can see. So I'm just going to add in our liquid oils, which are olive, castor and sweet almond. And you can see them going into the pan just there. I'm just going to scrape out the jug just to make sure we have got as much oil as possible out of the jug and into the pan. And now that is all in the pan, I'm just going to take the temperature, and we are aiming for, as I said earlier, around about 80 Fahrenheit. And this is currently reading at 78.1, so that is going to be perfect. We will pop them to one side now, we will wait for the lye to be ready, and then we will come back and start making our soap. So we have finally managed to add all of our lye into our camel milk, and it actually took me 45 minutes to get all of that lye into the milk without scorching it. It has gone a nice kind of summery yellow colour, but it is not brown, which is a massive bonus. I would have been very, very annoyed if it had gone brown. Obviously, if I had frozen the camel milk completely, then it wouldn't have taken 45 minutes, but I was just too impatient to wait. We are now going to add the lye water into the oils, and just for reference, our lye water is at 82.2 Fahrenheit, and the oils should still be round about where they were. They are at 77.5, so that is absolutely fine. And the reason we are working at lower temperatures today is that we don't want the sugars in the camel milk to actually heat up too much and cause the soap to overheat. So that is why we are working at lower temperatures. So we are now going to carefully pour our camel milk lye water down into our oils, and again scraping out the jug to get as much in there as possible. Now I'm going to use our stick blender to bring it to, I'm going to go for quite a thick trace today, medium to thick trace, using a combination of pulsing and stirring. I am going to watch out for false trace because the temperatures are lower, there is a possibility that the coconut oil could start to solidify, which would cause the batter to thicken, and you could mistake that for trace if you're not looking out for it. So I'm going to watch out for that, make sure we reach a proper trace, and after that we're going to get it into the mould. So we have got the soap batter to a nice, fairly thick trace now. You can see, looking in here, how creamy it already looks. So we are fairly thick. And what we want to do now, before we pop it into our mould, is add our essential oil. And today I have chosen to match our camel milk soap with some Rose Geranium essential oil. And I thought this would be a really nice pairing because the Rose Geranium essential oil is from Morocco. Obviously there are camels in Morocco, so we're going to go with a little bit of a Middle Eastern theming for today's soap. And I just thought it'd be nice to combine the essential oil with the camel milk in that way. Rose Geranium can accelerate trace, so I'm hoping we're going to be okay. Because we're at a low temperature, hopefully we will be. Going in with the Rose Geranium now, and I'm just gonna work it in really nicely with the stick blender. I'm not going to blitz it, I'm just going to stir it in. And now I am just going to pour it into our mould. There we go, so filling up the mould. And I'm just going to give it a wobble from side to side and a tap down to release any air bubbles and level the surface of the soap. And we'll tidy up that little edge there. So as you can see, the Rose Geranium oil has sort of thickened the soap a little bit, which is quite nice because what I want to do now is texture the top. And today I'm going to try something very marginally different from my normal way of texturing it with a teaspoon like this. We're actually going to use the handle of the spoon for our texture today. Minute difference. And I'm just going to go in and round. I mean, to be honest, it's giving almost the same effect as using the teaspoon. It's just very slightly finer. Down the first side like this. Someone's having fun outside. Doing the same down the other side to meet in the centre of the soap. Just like so. And I think I'm just going to splodge along the top a little bit. And then we are going to add a few little botanicals for decoration. So for decoration today, I am going to use some rose petals, some pink cornflower petals, and some black Hawaiian lava salt. And the reason I'm using 2 different kinds of flowers is I thought using rose petals would be nice because it ties in with the Rose Geranium and the Moroccan feeling we're going for. But I'm not so keen on these because they do tend to go a little bit brown in soap, and even these rose petals I have got hints of brown on them. Whereas the cornflower petals, the pink cornflower petals, don't tend to brown in soap. And I think they're actually a little bit prettier, but we haven't got then the rose connection. So I questioned myself for ages, which to use, and then I went, do you know what? I can use both. I'm going to use half rose petals on one side of the soap, I'm going to use half pink cornflower on the other side, and then I can work out which ones I prefer when the soap is cut. The reason for the black Hawaiian Lava salt is purely I really like the colour combination of pink and black together. I think it's going to create quite a nice striking contrast, especially against the white of the bar. So I'm going to begin with the Hawaiian sea salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle it over the top of the soap so that it kind of just falls where it wants to fall, mainly in the middle, but with a little bit spreading out to the outer edges of the soap. And I will take my gloves off when I'm going to do the flower petals, and I know that's naughty and I shouldn't do it, but my hands will be a good few inches away from the soap. I'm not going to be touching the soap, and it just makes it so much easier because when I try and sprinkle flower petals whilst wearing gloves, I end up grabbing handfuls of them, they go where they're not meant to go, and it just ends up ruining the design. So that is my reasoning for taking my gloves off when I sprinkle the flower petals at the end. I think that's probably enough of the black sea salt. Wouldn't recommend doing this. If I was teaching a class, I wouldn't be doing this. I suppose technically I'm teaching online, but just do as I say, not as I do, as parents used to have a habit of saying when we were younger. So let's start with the rose petals. And because I'm not selling this soap, I am not weighing. I am purely just going with what feels good. I'm going to sprinkle them along the top. Not touching the soap. I'm close, but I'm not touching it. And I'm trying to keep these more in the centre, as opposed to with the black sea salt when we went a little bit all over. I want these to form the centre of the soap design. Some will fall. If I'm that fussed about it, I can pick them off with tweezers or something, but I'll probably just leave them. Then we are going to switch over to the pink cornflower, and we're going to do them down the other side of the soap. I'm not sure which I'm preferring. Actually, at the minute, I think I'm preferring the rose petals. But as I said, much more likely that the rose petals will go brown as the soap cures. Whereas the pink cornflowers should stay pretty true to being pink. Stop putting more things on it. Stop putting more things on it. I can't help it. Now what I'm going to do is grab my gloves again, because now I am going to be touching the soap. And I'm just going to gently press the flowers down into position so that they don't all fall off when we cut it. Because sprinkling on the top is good, but they don't stick as well. So they do need a gentle little coax to stay where they're meant to stay. And then I'll switch finger, give the soap the middle finger. I don't want to give this soap the middle finger, it's behaved really nicely so far. Press on the pink cornflower petals. There we have it. That is our soap for today. Let's get that stray one off. I am not going to gel this soap today because I want it to stay cool if possible. If we were to gel it, it would take on more of a creamy, darker colour. What I want is to try and get the base soap to be as white as possible. So to do that, I want it to stay cool. I could put it in the fridge if there was space in my fridge, which there's not, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to leave it in a cool place, probably in my garage, so that it can stay as cool as possible. And then we can come back tomorrow, chop it up and see how it is looking. I'm happy with it so far though. I feel like it's going to be a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. So back 24 hours later and we have unmolded our soap. That is how it is looking right now. And it's looking a nice creamy white colour. Doesn't look like there's going to be any browning on the inside, which is good, but we do need to cut it up to check that for sure. I'm going to turn the soap on its side for cutting just to try and minimise the petals and salt being dragged through the soap and leaving marks. Right, let's chop. It's very hard chopping this high up because I don't get so much weight on top of it. And 3, 2, 1. So let's pull out one of these ones with the roses on top. And that is what the soap is looking like on the inside. And it has got a very slight yellowish tint. I would say it's more of a creamy colour than a yellow colour, but it looks lovely and creamy. Let's pull out one of the bits with the cornflowers on top. And there we have one of the ones with the cornflowers. So all in all, looks the same on the inside. It is purely the flowers on the top that are different. Cornflower versus rose. Now I'm still not sure which of these is actually my favourite. I'm actually quite taken with the rose at the moment. I hope the rose petals don't fade to brown. They possibly will throughout the cure, but hopefully they'll retain some of that nice pink colour, because I think at the moment I am leaning towards preferring rose rather than cornflower. But do let us know which one is your favourite. So that is our Camel Milk soap. I'm looking forward to testing it out. I will let it cure. After it is cured, we will do a little follow-up video. It'll probably be a follow-up of about 4 different soaps that we've made in one video, just showing how they look after cure, how they lather, etc, etc. But there will be a video showing that. In the meantime, if you are interested in milk soaps, then do check out our lavender goat's milk soap recipe. It is a beautiful recipe. It is incredibly creamy. It looks beautiful, and it is one of my favourites. So I will link that here for you. Definitely check that one out. So taking them all off the soap cutter now, and here we have our Moroccan rose with camel milk soap, topped with black Hawaiian lava salt and rose petals or pink cornflower petals. And as I said, I am really looking forward to testing these out and seeing how they behave. If you enjoy our videos and you would like to help support our channel, please do consider buying us a coffee just here. All the money that we receive through Buy Us a Coffee does get funneled back into the channel to help support us with the creating the videos, buying the ingredients and whatnot. And those of you that have bought us a coffee recently, I will let you know what your money has been used for when it comes to a video where we are using your ingredients. I didn't use it today with the camel milk purely because camel milk is not vegan, and I don't know if any of you guys are, and if you are, I don't want to be using your money to fund non-vegan ingredients, so we will only use the money on vegan ingredients. And if you enjoy our channel, also consider subscribing. Leave us a comment, hit the notification bell, and do all of that jazz so that you can find out when we next upload a video. Thank you for watching, have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.